There are some cases where you'll see diaspora siblings or parents who are living under very tough economic circumstances. When, in fact, when you look at their sons or daughters or brothers who live in diaspora, you can tell clearly that their diaspora siblings are in a slightly better position. And so when people see things like that, they often blame the diaspora siblings or diaspora children for neglecting their family members back in the village. Guys, just look at what I just found. Ooh, hi guys, that was just something we called ongogo, which what is ongogo? Ongogo is a grasshopper, and as a kid we used to catch those things and roast them full of proteins. I know that may sound strange to you guys, but yeah, we used to eat grasshoppers for fun as kids, not because of hunger, but it was just fun. But anyway, folks, good morning, folks. As you can see, the sun is just hitting it right, just hitting it right. Welcome to Kisumu Kayating, folks. This is a place we call home, but we go back and forth between Long Beach and Kisumu Kayating. Yes, folks, welcome to Kisumu Kayating. I just want you to take it in. Just look behind me. Look at the skies. Look at all the greenery and the sounds. This is the African dream, my friends. This is the African dream that I hope that you will get an opportunity to experience at some point. Many of us live in diaspora, but we are working very hard to come back and just spend time in a place like this. It costs way less than you think to get something that is similar, especially when you get the right folks who know what they're doing. And so, as a Kenyan American who is returning to the village, my job is to figure out how to help you to find a place like this, either build it up or buy something similar, and just come home and live a dignified life. So this morning, I want to talk with you about why those of us who live in diaspora get a lot of flack when people compare us to our family members who still live at home. Many people think we are terrible human beings when they look at our family members and loved ones who live in very different circumstances. I have met quite a few people that live in diaspora and seem to be doing okay. But when you meet either their siblings or their parents, you can clearly tell that life is very tough for some of their, not all of them, some of their relatives in Kenya. And by the way, just so you know, people in Kenya have a lot of money. People who live in Kenya, I've met people who have so much money, it's unbelievable. Both legit and not so legit. So don't think that when you're in diaspora, you have more money than people live here. It's not always the case. However, there are some cases where you'll see diaspora siblings or parents who are living under very tough economic circumstances. When, in fact, when you look at their sons or daughters or brothers who live in diaspora, you can tell clearly that their diaspora siblings are in a slightly better position. And so when people see things like that, they often blame the diaspora siblings or diaspora children for neglecting their family members back in the village. So that's what I want us to talk about so that hopefully folks have a better understanding of how this happens. Now, for one, my policy has always been when it comes to family issues between siblings, between parents, I always say hold your tongue until you figure out what's going on. Because oftentimes you're told one story, by the time you find the real story behind what's going on, you'd be shocked. Because I've seen a couple of different scenarios. Scenario number one, you have a sibling who is in diaspora doing really well and could not care less about their siblings and family members back in Africa. But I've also seen a majority of cases where the sibling or the person in diaspora has done everything within their means to change things at home. But unfortunately, some of us end up having relatives that I would just call ondongchoda. And ondongchoda is a Greek term that is used to describe people who are complicated. And so these ondongchoda relatives, unfortunately, can make life so difficult for diaspora folks to help them, to the point where people simply just give up. So before you blame somebody for neglecting their siblings, their children, their parents, and all that, I tell you, take a pause and find out what the backstory is, because I'm always shocked when I find out what really happens. In fact, I remember a few years ago on TV they would show us the former president of Kenya called Kibaki, a guy that I think was a terrible human being, but in some ways. Some people give him credit, but I remember in 2007 there was stuff that happened that were not good anyway. So there was videos of his sister living in extreme poverty, when this guy was actually the president of Kenya. So he could have changed the circumstances. And people are like, if you have this much money, why would your sister live like that? There's a saying in my mother tongue that goes, Chan Mako Mary or Ngol ni Ayul, which in a sense, when translated loosely, means your brother is poverty. It doesn't cause you sleep. There are people who live in diaspora who are comfortable. And I'm not saying they're necessarily rich. They're comfortable and they could do a whole lot, but are not really invested in what happens in their family members' lives for a number of reasons. So that group is a unique one. I don't fully understand it. But the group that I typically run into are diaspora folks who end up with siblings or parents who are incredibly toxic, incredibly difficult, that every single thing you do for them, they mess it up. Where people send fees. One of my friends, he sent fees to his brother, school fees. The guy actually eats through the entire school fees that is meant for his own education. I've got another friend who also lives in diaspora, sends school fees for their children. Their husband is the one who uses the entire school fees on other things, and the kids are not going to school. And so these are the cases that I see more often, where you have this diaspora sibling or son or daughter doing everything possible to change things at home. When the people at home are just making life very difficult, no matter what they do. And after so many years, some folks just give up, say, at this point, I gotta live my life. Because if it's year upon year trying and doing all kinds of things, and these folks are giving you a hard time, you're like, I'm not the one suffering. You are the one who's suffering. I've seen cases where a person living in diaspora tries to help a sibling join them. And this process of being people diaspora is not as easy as you may think. It takes quite a bit of work. Even for me, sometimes people reach out, hey, can you help me come to America? And then I give them a few pointers of things they're supposed to do. And then at that point, they still expect me to find time. Like, for example, those who are interested in education. I tell them, okay, just go to Google or I direct them to sites where they can look for programs to apply for. They expect me to find my time to search for schools, do all of that work. Their job is just to sit and show up for the visa interview and go to the airport. I promise you, not many people do that, because given our schedules, even my own siblings, I don't do that. I send them to do stuff. So there are certain family members who, no matter what you do, there's this, I don't know whether it's a sense of an entitlement or it could be something else, but my sense is that maybe the degree of comfort people have at home, particularly people who are being supported by diaspora folks, may really make it challenging for them to really get out of their comfort zone. Because especially when you have people who depend on you as a diasporan, you're sending money, they're taking over, they are comfortable. They may not have the sense of urgency to really get out and do stuff. So when you see a person living at home who is living in poverty and a tough life, when they have a diaspora sibling out there who could help, trust me, the majority of cases, it often has everything to do with that person living at home. Some of them, they've been given everything possible, and they keep on just messing things left and right and making life very difficult for diaspora. So people just decided to give us, say, at the end of the day, it's your life. At the end of the day, you're the one who is suffering. Because like when somebody reaches out to me, asking me about how to go to America, and then I give them instructions, send them off, and then they respond in a way that is not helpful. I tell them, I've been to America. I'm not the one looking to go to America. You are the one looking to go to America. So it's your job to do what I'm telling you to do. My job is simply to support your journey. You'd be surprised how many people feel entitled, thinking that it is my job to figure out how to bring them to the US. Like, I can share with you what I know, I can guide you, I can connect you, but ultimately you have to do the work. And I do that even with my own siblings. So yes, you will find cases where people have relatives not doing too well, and they have diaspora and family members who have really tried and it's not working out. Or sometimes you just give up. So that's more common. But like I said, there's a small group of diasporans who live very comfortable life and watch their parents and their siblings really suffer. The last group that I want to talk about is just because somebody lives in diaspora doesn't mean they are capable of helping. Uh, they may have actually an okay job, but I'm telling you, sometimes life can be very tight in diaspora, where I know people who they even borrow money, they use their credit card to put gas just to get to work. But when you're at home and you see somebody driving to work and you think they have money, a lot of us really don't have money. I promise you. A lot of us in the diaspora basically live paycheck to paycheck. In fact, the majority of us, I would guess, would completely be homeless after only 2 paychecks. Something that would not happen in Kenya. In Kenya, you can actually go for months. People go for months without work, and somehow you just survive. In diaspora, that option is not there. So there are people living in diaspora who may seem capable of helping back at home, but in truth, they are not able to help. In part because either they have child support payment, they have a lot of bills, or maybe even work times. There are people who are actually unemployed in diaspora, who are living on disability, and so their income could be really tight. So just because somebody lives in diaspora doesn't mean they're going to be capable to financially support stuff. There are very many of us who lead a very tough life. So folks, before you blame somebody for neglecting their family members back at home, pay attention to the backstory. You'd be surprised what's there. And if you are capable of helping and you're not, I hope your heart changes. Because again, I've seen people who actually have even children at home here, and they just decided to move on, and their kids are just living like you don't believe, complete abject poverty, when their parents are doing well. I hope you have a change of heart and you're able to help. But whatever you do, I hope you don't blame these folks when you don't know the real backstory. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next. Bye.